Hello, Bonus Benji. It's been a little while. How are you? I can be a bit more relaxed over here, but as you've probably seen, there's been a lot of fallout to Football Manager coming out. And I'm just going to talk about the way that I have approached things and the way that I've seen things and the way that I have and haven't done certain things. Like, I've not made a beta series for FM for the first time in a long time, and the beta series I'm going to do is probably going to be slightly different to other people's beta series, but that's coming in the next few days. People are cross is the way I actually, so people are really quite cross. And I've done a video on the main channel, if you haven't seen it, where I've talked about like how you should feel about it and some of the issues I have with it. And I'm going to make some detailed videos on that when it comes to the 4th, because then we've got a game. Like right now, it doesn't quite feel like we have a game. It feels like we've got the makings of a game, but there are just so many quality of life issues. There are so many performance issues. There are just so many things that people aren't happy about that we're just not there yet. And I think you watching this, some people actually don't know how to feel, which I think is the most interesting side of all of this. People are a little bit like, well, I'm being told the UI is terrible, but like there's bits I'm having fun. I find myself sometimes getting into matches to stop having to use the UI, which is not it's not a good place to be. And I accept they had to change up the UI. Like I've heard people say, why couldn't they have just made FM24 with a few bits that are good? Well, because they couldn't have cherry picked the bits that everybody would have thought were good. They obviously made some design decisions that they thought this is the way to go. The bit that I think is fascinating is that they've talked a lot about player numbers, right? They've talked a lot about the fact that 20 million people played FM24, and a lot of those were console players, and there was only like 25% of players play PC now, which is not a lot. But I think those 25% of people that play PC, so that's 5 million players, I think a good portion of those, and you can see based on Steam stats that like 2 million people are playing FM24 every single month. That's a big number of consistent players that, again, aren't playing it on subscription services, aren't dipping in for a short time period. I suspect the average hours for PC players are much higher. And the problem they've got with this beta rollout is that everybody's on PC. Yeah, sure, you could use a controller, but everybody is on PC. And so everyone's feedback at the moment is, you've made this game for the 15 million people that aren't me. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I think that to some degree, like the way the design of the game has been built in certain ways, like is very friendly to console players. Like if I show you how I feel, like this is a funny Bonus Benji video because it's a bit like the main channel video, but like if I'm navigating stuff on these screens, like it feels to some degree, like it feels a bit more like some console players are like, no, I don't like it either, but it feels like a bit, I don't know, sometimes you can move between. You can't do it now. It's not working for me now. Before you could just flick between box to box. Like this, look. Like this feels, do you see what I mean? The way you flick it around and stuff, like the way in which you move from thing to thing, it suddenly starts to like make sense. And then you press A on something and it fades and loads. You press B on something, it goes, but like, it just feels like it was meant to be like this. I don't know. Like, and I'm sure like they've got to make a game that suits both markets. I just don't know if like the marketplace that they're aiming for is gonna care as much as the PC players do. In fact, I know they're not, because I know the PC players really fucking care. And I think it's interesting that, like, again, you're basically currently having to deal with the opinions of everybody that plays PC and no one that plays console. The beta's not out on console, like, it's giving you any feedback right now. And so all the decisions you're going to make, you're going to have to impact the decisions that you've made to try and appease an audience that currently aren't playing or touching your game. That's what do they do in that scenario? Like, I don't know, it's difficult. But this was always the plan. I mean, release the beta for console, I guess, and see how that goes, or find a way to give them early access. I don't know what you do, because at the moment, they're going to now, like, it's the idea of too many cooks. Like, so many people have got opinions, and strong opinions. Like, whether people absolutely love it, they're going, stop caring about the UI, stop caring, like, it's a new game, enjoy it. And then some people are going, how can you possibly enjoy this UI? And to me, like, I can see the potential of the UI, and I think, like, yeah, it has modernized itself. It does look cleaner in some areas. In some areas, it's just confused. I talk about that a lot on the main channel. And I think people just don't really know how to feel. And there's been a lot of, like, there's this group of people that criticize content creators as if, like, we should have warned you all. Well, I've got to be very careful here. Critical thinking, we couldn't have warned you all. Like, I've got to do a bit of mental gymnastics to be like, well, why couldn't they? And then when the beta came out, they all started speaking. Yeah, right? So it's tricky, and it's not because we're paid off. Like I can be as honest as I can be, but there's certain things I wouldn't be able to say, right? So, but now there are certain things I can say, and I think it's a confused game. I just think the game is confused, and it confuses me. Like there's elements of it that I think are quite funny because of how confused they are. I think graphically, like obviously it's a step forward and it is an improvement, but is it an improvement to where we want it to be? Well, no. If it's not, then hopefully in like 3 years' time, we look back and go, God, FM26 was a grind, but look what we've got now. And I think a lot of people then would be like, okay, if we have to go through some like short-term pain, because 1 year out of 6 years would be short-term pain to get like a really good game. What is nice, by the way, I've seen very few people criticise women's football at all, because I think now everyone's realised, oh yeah, it wasn't women's football, it's the UI. Like no one's gone, oh, the bloody women. Like no one's bothered about that now. Everyone's gone, oh yeah, I can see why FM25 didn't come out. I can see that now FM26 is got its own issues. And they've tried to do something different, and it's a big undertaking. But no one forced Sports Interactive to take this on. No one said you have to do this. Like, even if content creators did, or people on Reddit or the forums did, like, they make their own decisions. They've always been pretty strong in that. They've always said, like, we're going to do what we think is best for our game, and we're not going to compromise on that. And, well, fair enough then. So they have to own this, is how I feel about it. Like, if they made the choices to change engine, and like, if they're not happy with it now, then I don't know what the solution is. I'm not in there. I don't work for Sports Interactive as much as people think we're paid by them. Like, yes, they give us a game code every year, or a few game codes every year to either give away to viewers or to use ourselves. Like, that's been a thing that's gone on for a long time. If people think that's payment, I'd like you to see, to take that code to my landlord. Unless he's a big Football Manager fan, he's still going to want the money at the end of the month. So, yeah. Does it influence how I feel about the game and talk about the game, either with you or with them privately? No, and it never has. And I've made videos in the past which have ruffled some feathers, and I've spoken to them privately, and it's ruffled feathers sometimes. But I think that's good. I think that's healthy. I think I want that relationship with them where I can kind of say what I like. Like, Jack did an interview with Miles recently, and people have criticised it for being a bit of a puff piece and a bit soft. And like, well, what did people expect in the run up to the game? Well, to hammer him. Like, the game wasn't even out at that point. The interview you could do in 2 weeks' time would be different, wouldn't it? Like, then you'd be able to talk about the things that are there based upon the things that he said. And that would be, like, that's an interview I'd watch. Like, I'm for that one. But I just think overall, people's anger and aggression is kind of misplaced. Like, it's in beta. It has to get, like, quality of life wise, it has to get better. Performance wise, it has to get better. When you've got, I don't know how many people are playing the beta, right? Let's just say 500,000 are playing the beta right now. When you've got that amount of people playing it, you're going to get a lot of data. And if you make the most of that data, you're hopefully going to end up with a better game. But taking the opinions of people that love it and hate it, and trying to find a middle ground for those people. And listen, you try and please everybody, you please no one. And I think trying to appease the console and the PC audience, you kind of please no one to a degree. And that's like, that is a challenge for every game. But Football Manager, when it's so based upon detail, that's the thing that I find the most frustrating, is like when you go around the game, just like little areas of detail frustrate me. Like if I go to a fixture schedule, like it doesn't tell me what round of the cup competition I'm in. Just like little stuff like that. If you go to a game and you look at like the after action report of a game, like the level of detail on stats is like really not there for me. If I go into an actual match and I'm looking at the match day screen, like I don't see average positions, I don't see heat maps, there's no chalkboard, there's no, like the amount of data I get now is just less. And Football Manager for me is a game packed full of data. It's what I play the game for. I want to be a nerd, and it's just not letting me be a nerd enough. And that feels like it's like dumbed it down a little bit. Like, or maybe that stuff never mattered, but like we cared. Shouts is another one. Like sometimes you sit watching a game, and you're just watching a game. You become a bit of a spectator. And in a game where you're a football manager, like even if some of those things are placebo, but like I don't know, I don't really understand the logic of like shouts didn't work. When I shouted, I could see the morale of my players changed. Like I knew that happened. If I did a bad shout, they would react badly. I would then assume like they would maybe go within themselves on the pitch a bit. Even if that stuff like wasn't true, it felt like it was true. So were those faces just a lie? Like was it all just a lie? Because again, that system, immersed me, it engaged me. Like if 10 of the players responded well and one player was like, oh, now I'm nervous, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's because of something I did or the way I handled his playing time. I don't know, it's strange. Like some of those things are a little bit lost for me. Like some of the recruitment stuff now feels like really overcomplicated. But I don't know, maybe after X amount of time of playing it, like it'll be fun and it'll be good. And we'll get to a point where it feels like this all makes sense. But again, like all the transfer activity stuff, and it's just a new way of doing things. And I'm not against new ways of doing things. I guess what I'm sort of saying is, I don't know if some of these things are better than the way that we were doing things. And like, that is obviously the conversations I suspect they'll have at Football Manager now. Now they've got a game, they can really compare it to like, well, this was they described it right as like the most complete Football Manager, the perfect Football Manager. Well, then let's compare the perfect Football Manager to this. What's it missing? What doesn't it have? What does it need to have? And where do we go from here? Because again, people aren't happy, and with all the bug fixes they do, like it's not, people aren't going to go, oh, okay, all the bugs are fixed, I now like the UI. Like they could make the UI snappier. I think people would prefer that. Again, like this sort of fading. I talked about this in the main channel video. Like some of this like fading, but like so some things fade and some things don't, and it's not clear. Is it just to hide a loading time, or is it a design decision? Like I don't. This fading really annoys me. But then you go through some of this stuff, like there's no fading here, but then you have a pop up. So it feels like you're doing three different things. You're either fading, snapping, or popping up, and it doesn't feel very cohesive for whatever reason. And that is probably what is getting people's backs up. And I think that some people just enjoy playing Football Manager, and they don't care. Some people just don't care about all this stuff, and that is a blissful world where you don't have to care about it, and you just enjoy the game, and you just want to, like, you're top of the league and you don't care. You've played 10 games, you've won 9, you've drawn 1, and your top goal scorer's got 20 goals. You're not asked. And I kind of respect that as well. Like, it's almost like the perfect way to video game, because then no one can tell you anything. You're probably not engaging in this discourse, to be honest. Like, you're probably not as bothered. But I just think there's work to be done. And this opinion is almost like controversial. People are like, no, burn it to the ground. Tell people what you really think. It's like, I don't see what I really think. I think it's like not perfect. Not even close to perfect. It's okay. It's not great. It's like, could be good, but it's not good yet. And they've got a few days to fix that. And like some people on Reddit and the forums and Twitter are like, oh yeah, there you go, being paid off by Miles again. It's like, no. You're hard pressed to find creators, like some creators, not all creators, are very critical. Like extremely critical, and are trying to hold Sports Interactive to account, but that's difficult. They're a 300-person game studio. Like, they're not always going to, and also, they don't have to give a shit what we think, and I'm not entitled enough to think they have to care what I think. It also means that, like, just because I've built up an audience over a decade, if I then say what I think, it's not like, oh, he thinks everyone thinks we should give a shit about what Benji thinks. It's not like that. I don't really feel like that. I just sometimes just say my opinion, and I'm trying to gauge other people's opinions. So those conversations that I had, I could be like, okay, this is how the community feel. Well, this is how I feel. So and I've taken my time. I've done a few streams, and we've talked about it on stream, but I've taken my time with videos, because these don't go away. Like streams, those VODs disappear in one day, but videos stay the test of time. I want to know that if I'm saying things, that like I really believe them. So I've just waited a little bit. I've sat back. I've watched a lot of the discourse. I've watched what Zealand thinks, and how did Zealand give the Alpha 9 out of 10? What the? He's given the beta 6, to be fair. So it's obviously regressed. Kev's made 2 videos about. He's reviewed the game as a 10 out of 10 and a 0 out of 10, but not a review on his actual thoughts. Very Lelouch. Jack's making videos about Wonder Kids. He's living the dream. Clates is making some great content, because of course he is. And everyone else is just sort of getting by, doing what they normally do, trying to figure it out. And I'm sort of watching a little bit, really enjoying streaming. Like I think we had 5,000 viewers on the first night, 2,000 something on the second time we streamed. Like, amazing. It's lovely to see everyone coming back and enjoying watching me play Football Manager and having some fun with it. And it's not just for the jingles, you know. You've suffered through the main video. Yeah, there's a lot of time left. Much like, and I feel this about football as well. There's always another season, right? In video games, especially games like this, there's always another game. Unless this is the last one in the series, actually. Miles did tease that, didn't he? So maybe we should consider that. All right. I'm just reading through some of the comments on the videos about the UI when it first came out. Everyone was like relatively positive. They're not so positive. No. Oh dear. All right. Take care of yourselves. Get involved on Twitter, on Discord, Twitch as well. Links to all that stuff in the description. And yeah, I'll tell you what the series are going to be. I'm doing like bottom of the league, 10 games to go. Can I rescue a relegation candidate in the Premier League rather than doing a big beta save? And then I'm doing Glory Hunter in December, where I'm going to do 20 videos in 20 seasons. You can figure that out. And then on Twitch, we're doing a journeyman, like a long-term journeyman, unemployed across Europe, and just seeing like road trip for those that remember it. And just seeing how quickly I come in the Champions League. And obviously you'll make a lot of the decisions with me on whether we change clubs and move clubs and stuff like this. But for the beta, I'm doing Salford. So don't remember the Salford story? Good times, better times. All right, team. See you soon. Lots of love. Oh, dear.